want to add a bit of a preface here before we go in, because I might come across as being a little harsh on Wing Chun, and I hope that's not the case. It's just ground fighting and takedown defense is not very it's not exactly a strong point of Wing Chun, and I might be rather critical here. But what I will say is, I don't want to discourage people from taking up the style, because martial arts is fun and interesting, and if it's a style you want to learn, go for it. It's just when it comes to takedown defense and this kind of ballpark, there's probably going to be a lot I'm going to pick apart, and I don't want to sound like I'm coming across as mean with it. So we'll continue with the video. There's nothing personal against these gentlemen, but as I say, I might be a bit out there with them.
Quick introduction to the theory of takedown defense according to Wing Chun. So to keep things simple, there are 3 lines of defense to any takedown attempt in Wing Chun. At distance, if I'm able to see it coming, I would use kicks. At intermediate range, it would be hand strikes, closed or open. And if it gets really close, it would be knees or elbows. In combat sports...
Right, let's pause it there. Okay, so the 3 bits of advice he gave there. I agree with the kick. If the fellow hasn't set it up correctly, or is not within range to set it up correctly, yeah, you could probably hit the guy with a teep or a side kick or any other sort of kick and keep him off you. Yeah, that's a reasonable thing to believe, so point to him there. Punching, I don't know. It depends what he's setting up, and it depends how well he set it up. If he's not level changed correctly, then you might catch him on the way in with a punch. But when it comes to knees and elbows, if he's in knee and elbow range, he's already shot. I think he's a bit too late. At that point, you're probably just best off sprawling and then trying to recover yourself from there, or trying to stuff the takedown, then fire back with some knees and elbows. But let's see what else he's got to say.
So the 3rd line, i.e. the knee-elbow line, you would typically see wrestling or sprawling applied to stuff takedown attempts. Wing Chun, in contrast, tends to prefer a direct striking approach. However, its efficacy is contingent on using strikes that are illegal in combat sports.
Okay. Well, it's more or less has proved my point right there. In knee and elbow range, yes, a guy who's used to combat sports is going to be stuffing the takedown with sprawls. And the reason why we do that, my friend, is because it works. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Stuffing the takedowns with a sprawl works. And this is coming from people that wrestle people all the time and have to stuff takedowns all the time. Something that really I don't believe Wing Chun has to do a lot of. Something he did mention there was illegal strikes, which I'm curious to know what kind of illegal strike he's going to do that will get you out of a takedown when it's at shooting range, when you're already shot on. Because there's not a great deal you can do at that point unless you're already in a stage to stuff it and sprawl or keep him off you. If you're not doing that, if you're not trying to get whizzes, keep his head off, and maybe move for something else and being proactive, you're not going to be able to do any sort of illegal strike as far as I'm concerned. You're not going to catch him on the way in with a poke to the eye or a strike to the throat. It's just not going to happen, but I'm curious to hear what he says.
So if Andreas telegraphs from distance that he's going to go for a takedown, my initial preferred approach would be to use kicks.
Good old oblique kick. Just a tidbit of a rant here, because I've had this with a lot of Kung Fu guys at a lot of Kung Fu gyms I've trained at, and I've had this with a lot of Krav Maga guys and more or less a lot of martial artists, and I think there might be a bit of naivety behind it, or a bit of ignorance. I think a lot of them believe that this kick is illegal in MMA, It isn't. It's a perfectly legal strike, and no, it's not going to immediately blast your knee in half like it's a Bruce Lee movie. People aren't made of plasticine. Yeah, it hurts. It's annoying. We use it in sparring all the time, you know. So it's not like a illegal technique or unsafe to use any more than any other kick is. So, but yeah, maybe it could kick at this range, but honestly, I think anybody who knows what they're doing is just going to snatch his leg up and he's going to be on the floor. You know, I can see that right now. I know we're all experts in hindsight, but all he has to do at this point is just grab that leg and put his hand behind that, and he's now on one leg with one leg up in the air, and he's over. Continue.
or hand strikes to defend against
The man
it.
strikes aren't going to do you no good at that point,
A
buddy.
more likely scenario is if he's competent, he will either set that up and feint and change levels, and I'll be late to defend.
Yes.
In Wing Chun, if that is the case, i.e. gets essentially to my waistline, the defence would be either knees or elbow strikes or open hand strikes to the back of the neck.
Yeah. None of that's going to work. I'm sorry, but it's not, mate. I have seen some very competent like Thai boxers like pick on somebody's head like that and jump up with a knee, but I think at that point it's a bit too late. For striking, you need to have stuffed the takedown first, got yourself into a better position, and then maybe you can strike back. But you're not going to knee. In fact, to be quite honest, trying to knee at that point is going to cause you more hassle and make it even worse for you because you're now on one leg and all he has to do is snatch it up. You've more or less gave him the knee. Trying to do this kind of punch thing, you're wasting your time, and honestly, again, you're making it worse for yourself. At this point, you don't want to be trying to use your hands to punch. You want to be using your hands to sort of like stuff him and stopping that charge and moving him off, maybe getting a whizzer. It's too late to be striking at this point. And yet, you might believe that because this gentleman's being polite and waiting for him, obviously these guys are doing drills, that he's got the time to do that. But in reality, you don't have the time to do that. A shoot is fast. I don't think what he's trying to do there is going to be effective one bit.
Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of knees because unless your timing is perfect, you're exposing yourself to the risk of a single leg takedown.
Yeah, it's a sensible.
Elbow point strikes, whether that is to the back of the head or 12-6 strikes or open
You're too
hand
late.
strikes to the neck, however, can be devastatingly effective.
Devastatingly effective. Mate, prove it. Prove it. If you can show me some proof where that's worked, a video, footage, I'll believe you, but otherwise, no. And I have had this with a few people as well, when I've done a few self-defense classes where I said, well, why can't I just shoot on you? And he said, oh, well, if you shoot, we'll just elbow you. And I've said, all right, mate, no problem. I'll shoot, you throw that elbow and see what happens first. Me getting hit or you going on the ground. And guess what? They're on the ground before that elbow did anything. It's too fast. Unless you've stuffed it, it's too fast. You can't just rely on elbowing on the floor. And there are some videos of some MMA fighters trying this, and it doesn't tend to work. It's sort of like a desperation move at best.
Now, if you've seen the light distance MMA sparring videos we put up, you may be wondering why there's no attempt at takedown defense in those videos. And the simple reason for that is, as just explained, Wing Chun relies heavily on the use of elbow point and throat strikes to defend at that distance, which you can't safely do under pressure and at speed without wearing helmets.
Mate, don't make excuses. I've watched that video, and one, you do attempt it. I can show the parts where you do attempt to do stuff like that, and it fails. And the reason it's failing on you is because by the time you're trying to implement it, it's too late. You can't just defend a takedown with strikes. Trying to elbow the back of the head, it's too late. You need to be stuffing him.
That may seem a little bit extreme, but it reflects the fact that in the street you should be keen to avoid going to ground at pretty much all reasonable costs. And the reason for that is multiple. Firstly, the risk of being injured as you hit the deck. Secondly, the risk of being injured as you're rolling around on a hard or uneven floor. The risk of weapons being present, the risk of multiple opponents, the risk associated with being pinned to the ground for any period of time, especially if there are multiple opponents. All of which Wing Chun means Wing Chun takes a fairly brutal approach to dealing with takedowns or preventing them.
Yeah, you do want to be avoiding the ground if you're in a street fight, especially if there's multiple people, because, you know, someone might kick you in the head while you're on there. But still, knowing how to handle yourself on the ground, you know, you don't want to be the person on the floor who doesn't know how to wrestle. You don't want to be on the person on the floor who doesn't know what he's doing. At least if I go to the ground, I know to get myself out of that situation. Or, in my case, I'll be the person putting you on the ground and then getting out of the situation, because I don't have to go down with you. I think there's a common misconception that people that do grappling training are going to go down to the ground with you to carry on. And that's sort of at his own discretion. If I don't want to go down the ground with you, I won't. You know, if you don't know how to defend a takedown, I might just throw you on the ground and just keep running. And you're going to be the one getting hit by the heavy pavement.
In the first place. Now, from a Wing Chun perspective, you're actually much less concerned if he goes for takedown from the point after which contact's already been made. So
why would you be much less concerned about takedowns from a Wing Chun's perspective?
And he goes to shoot for a takedown from here.
You should always be concerned about takedowns. I thought that was the whole point of the video, is that you're concerned about takedowns.
Pressure against your opponent, you can feel what he's doing, and you can use chi-sao reactions to neutralise that. So regardless of what Andreas does from this position, I can control.
Right. You need to be getting tight up with him. None of this is effective if he applied any level of actual power or resistance. If he was actually shooting for you. Obviously, this is your student or a friend of yours, and he's being polite with you and following the drill. But there's a thing called... You can be too compliant, is guess what I'm trying to say. And it might give you a false sense of what might happen. This here, it's not a realistic scenario. If you want to train for a realistic scenario, you need to train realistically. And this just isn't. Furthermore, I want to point out that because this gentleman does not look like he knows how to wrestle, it's a bit shady trying to teach advice on stuffing wrestling takedowns or any takedown when the person performing the takedown doesn't know how to do it. You know, it's the same as trying to teach someone to parry a punch using a partner that doesn't know how to throw one. You know, you can all look like God when you're against somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
Control his body. And
you want to be tight in. I know this fella's not big onto the grappling stuff and thinks he's going to punch his way out of everything, but yeah, he wants to be tight on. All that's going to happen here from anybody who knows what they're doing is he's just going to take his back. He's going to come walk right round him, take his back, and then either choke him out, throw him on the floor, or suplex him. Your body needs to be on him.
React accordingly. What's much more difficult and dangerous from a Wing Chun perspective is an expert, committed shoot that happens from before the point at which contact is made. In which case you would be relying on elbow point strikes and throat strikes.
No, you won't, mate. You'll be relying on sprawling. You need to rely on sprawling. You need to rely on stuffing the takedown first before you start going into attacks. You can't do it. It's irresponsible to teach the idea that you're going to defend a takedown by throwing an elbow strike on the way in and kind of hoping it catches him. It's too late.
Now perhaps just a quick word on the power of, I don't think elbow strikes require much explanation, but a quick word on the power of throat strikes. Because those are not permitted within competition, even professional martial artists or combatants don't typically train that power. But I think everyone is familiar with the power of a barehanded knuckle strike.
You'd be surprised when we train there.
Everyone has seen the efficacy of choke submissions. And if you can concentrate the power of a strike into the point of your heel delivered at the neck, that can be even more.
Everybody knows the efficacy of choke submissions. Yeah, mate, but they don't work the same way as what you're thinking, but sounds of things. You know, focusing the power of your fist into this thing is not the same as a choke submission. It requires leverage and, you know, movement of the body and making sure something's in the right area. You know, it's not just bang. Doesn't work that way, mate. I'm sorry.
More devastatingly effective, I would argue, and certainly based on my experience.
On what experience? What experience?
So what we'll do now is just demonstrate initially slowly some takedown defence from either outside and then contact, and then maybe we'll do a couple.
There lies your problem, mate. You're demonstrating slowly.
So the summary of the Wing Chun approach to takedown defence is that number one, Wing Chun is a striking art that relies on giving way and reflex reaction.
You need to be demonstrating it fast. The problem here is his mate's just kind of letting him do whatever he wants, and most of the time his mate's throwing himself to the floor.
And having little weight on the front leg in Wing Chun should give one a moment to apply those
Or
strikes.
just stopping like a deer in the headlights. No one who knows what they're doing is going to do this. Fights are proactive. If you've stopped him there, he's going to search for something else. The problem here is, again, the fellow who's performing the takedowns doesn't seem to know how to perform takedowns. So you're not training this realistically. And because you're not training this realistically, you're getting an unrealistic idea of how to defend against this stuff. If you're going to do a video based on stuffing takedowns, you need to be doing it with someone who knows how to perform a takedown. It's no good doing it like this, mate. It really isn't. You're kind of presenting something that's false.
If you are very late or those fail, then you're going down, in which case the basic approach in Wing Chun is to hit where it hurts, namely the eyes.
Basic approach to every sport, mate.
Stand up. But regardless, some knowledge of a bridge and hip escapes on the ground would be.
Stop it there. So, what do I think overall? Honestly, I think it's a tad bit too naive. And honestly, as a fellow who's done a video where he's sparred MMA fighters, I think he should kind of know a little bit better than this. The stuff he's teaching there is just not going to work. And the reason being is it's too reliant on this idea that you're going to catch someone on the way in, which, while it does happen, it's mainly happens out of luck or bad planning on the person doing the takedown. And it's the same old illegal blow stuff. I'm sorry, mate, but illegal blows aren't going to get you out of stuff like that. Not unless you've actually stuffed the takedown. You need to stuff the takedown first. You need to stop the actual problem and then continue with the attack. The problem is, someone shoot to take you to the ground. You need to stop that. And you're not going to stop that by trying to chain punch someone. You're going to stop it by sprawling, clinching up, or anything like that, or moving up. You're not going to stop it by trying to punch him, or trying to hit his back of his neck with a karate shot. It's not going to happen, buddy. By the time you've set that karate chop up, you're already on the ground. I guarantee it. I will put money on that. You'll be already on the ground by the time it does it. And if you're doing with something, the problem is, people ignore pain. Yeah, that might hurt him. He's not going to let go. He's still going to go for that takedown. He's going to finish that. Probably keep punching you until you've stopped hitting him. And then he's going to go, that hurt. Maybe this is just me, but if I see a weakness in my art, I try and bridge the gap. I try and fill it up. So if grappling was the weakness of my art, I would go to a wrestling school and try and fix that. I'd try and learn how to grapple. And then I'd implement it into my art. So learn to stiff down takedowns from a wrestling group, get that instinct going, teach that to your lads, and then teach, I've stuffed it, I've sprawled, I've got him in this position. Now, maybe I can start doing that illegal stuff that they don't like in the cage. Personally, I don't think I'd do anything else better, but, That's your art, fair enough. But, you know, fix the problem first. You want to stuff takedowns? Learn to wrestle or grapple. Anyway, I'm Stephen the Stag Skelly. I hope you've enjoyed my little rant there. Learn it all, forget it all, and make your own way. Thank you, I'm out.